Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Show on the Gruely True Sports Network. I'm your host for the NFL Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in just one of my co-hosts right now because the other one's not here, Anthony Cervino. Help me welcome the man who did show up today, Sam Teets. How you doing, Sam?
We're doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
All right, and we got a little NFL news today, and we're going to start off with Myles Garrett, who ended up, his indefinite suspension lasted 6 games. And now he will be back after 6 games for hitting whatever backup quarterback was playing for the Steelers on that day. Is this too quick?
You know, I feel like the timing worked out in Garrett's favor because it is going into the offseason. I feel like if it had happened earlier in the year, I feel like an 8-game suspension or a 10-game suspension would have worked better. But I feel like the NFL didn't want to drag this into the next season, so they kind of let up a little easy and let him come back early. But I really feel an 8-game suspension probably would have been a better choice than 6 games.
Yeah, I think this is a bad idea because if it happens week 3, I think he would have been suspended for 13 weeks, if you know what I mean. And I just don't see how this is a good idea. And I think it sets a bad precedent, Sam.
I mean, not even that. Like, people say away from the field, Myles Garrett is a nice guy, and that might be true. But Myles Garrett's also a guy who, remember when the Jets put in their first backup quarterback of the year? He's the guy who fell on him and, like, broke his ankle or something like that. And he also got Kelly called him for punching an offensive lineman a few weeks later. So he's gotten to the point he's developed a little bit of a habit and a little bit of reputation on the field for being a guy involved in these kind of situations. So I feel like this is early. I feel like this doesn't set a great precedence for the NFL because I think you should be doing a little bit more in a situation like this.
Yeah, I just think it's a bad idea. I can't believe that they're bringing him back this soon. It doesn't make any sense to me to do this. I do want to tell people that we do have phone lines open at 812-496-0852. Since we can't show you the number, you can actually go to Twitter, follow us at Grilling Truth. You can see the call-in number there. We just retweeted the show out. Also, we'll move on a little bit. Trent Williams. Potential reconciliation with Ron Rivera and the Redskins. What do you take on that?
So Trent Williams initially stepped away from the Redskins organization last year because he got in a feud in them over a medical designation that he'd been given years earlier or a couple of months earlier that had turned out to be incorrect, and he ended up having to have some kind of procedure that was fairly serious, if I remember correctly, and got angry at the organization over that. Of course, he'd been upset with the organization for a number of years over several different matters, including his contract and how the organization as in general continued to losing. So he stepped away for a year. Now, bringing in Ron Rivera, who's always been a player's coach. Players love Ron Rivera. I remember some of the Carolina players were tweeting out, Washington guys, this is the best thing that could ever happen to you, the day Rivera signed with the Redskins. So he's a guy that everyone kind of loves and respects. So if there's going to be someone who bridges the gap between Washington and Trent Williams, it's going to be Ron Rivera.
Yeah, and I would just say if I'm Ron Rivera, I would tread lightly here. Trent Williams is a hell of a football player, but it wasn't like last year was the first time they'd had issues with him, and I would still worry about more issues popping up.
Yeah, from a football perspective, from like the organizational perspective of the Redskins, I would be kind of careful because Williams is the guy who could probably who could come back for a couple of games and just get ticked off and probably walk away again. And I wouldn't necessarily blame him for doing it because it's the Redskins, but at the same point, if you're a football team, you do have to worry about a guy potentially not showing up and not being there consistently for your team.
All right, let's move on. We've had something interesting happen yesterday in the world of college football, which I think could affect the NFL, mainly the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, as Colorado's head coaching job came open. Mel Tucker reportedly has taken the job at Michigan State. Now, given the ties to Colorado, Eric Bieniemy, I think, is a logical name here to consider if you're Colorado. And Ian Rappaport has already reported that the University of Colorado is expected to reach out to Bieniemy for their head coaching position. What's your take on this? Would this be a good move for Bieniemy, and what would it do to the Chiefs?
I mean, it makes all the sense of the rule for Colorado, because if you land Eric Bieniemy, you're landing a great coach. You're landing a great guy who's going to help you out tremendously. On the reverse side of that, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for Eric Bieniemy because he's the guy who just won the Super Bowl. He should have gotten a head coaching job this year in the NFL. I think he would be in line to get one next year because I know someone's got to get fired next year, whether it's Adam Gase in New York or I don't know who. Someone's got to be on the chopping block next year. So I don't know if going down to college would be the right decision for him because, honestly, I think he's the guy who should be a head coach in the NFL. So I don't think going down to college where you could risk upsetting the dynamic that you have in Kansas City where you have Patrick Mahomes already. I don't know why you would want to leave that and go down to coach someone like Colorado.
Well, I could tell you one reason, and that would be money.
That's true, yeah.
Because Colorado, a lot of money there, especially to get somebody like Eric Bieniemy back, which could turn that program around right away. The only thing is, if I'm Bieniemy, my worry would be you're getting a dive late into the recruiting process for next season, and you have to scramble to put together a staff. I would say he's probably most likely staying, but Colorado could always say, "Hey, we'll give you $5 million a year for the next 10 years if they want him bad enough."
Yeah, if you offer a higher enough number, we've seen this with guys in the past. You offer enough money and someone will take the job. But like you said, we're talking about stability of his career in terms of like the football perspective. You mentioned having to run in there and kind of throw together a slapstick team of guys, and you're in late in the recruiting process. The first year would basically just be a period where you're trying to still go through adapting to the new culture and adapting to the new team. So the first year is kind of half lost already in a sense if you went to Colorado. Whereas with the Chiefs, if you stick around there, you get a shot at a head coaching job next year, and you get to play with Patrick Mahomes again. So that's kind of, in my opinion, the better decision is to stick around and wait it out another year in Kansas City.
All right. Now, another interesting thing, the Jacksonville Jaguars continue to add, washed-up, retread coaches, and they've hired Ben McAdoo as their quarterback's coach. Of course, McAdoo was the head coach with the Giants. And McAdoo will be dropped into what I think is an interesting situation where you've got a high-priced free agent, Nick Foles. You got a former sixth-round pick, Gardner Minshew, entering his second season. Why would you hire Ben McAdoo here, other than the fact that he's already had a job before and they like to give guys multiple opportunities to fail?
Yeah, I have no idea. I saw someone on Twitter that's like, well, Ben McAdoo's had success in the past with players like Eli Manning. I'm like, did he have success with Eli Manning? I don't really think he did. So, for me, I don't understand it. Like, this is just Jacksonville doing Jacksonville's thing at this point because they're one of the organizations that likes to go out and hire guys who are former head coaches and put them in jobs. I don't think it will work out, but I do it is an interesting dynamic with Nick Foles and Gardner Minshew. If we go off based on last season, Nick Foles got injured right away. Gardner Minshew came in and played, and based on what we saw during the actual games, Minshew played a lot better, and that offense worked a lot better when he was in. I don't know if Nick Foles having another offseason will help him or not, or if he's just who he is at this point outside of Philadelphia. But that's something to keep an eye on. I just don't think Ben McAdoo is going to be able to make anything better.
Yeah. And another place where we have a lot of questions at the quarterback position is Carolina. Will Cam Newton be a Panther in 2020? And a lot of this, their owners said a lot of it comes down to the question of his health, foot and otherwise. What do you do with Cam Newton if you're the Carolina Panthers?
Well, I do think their stance on his health is probably key because if he can still play quarterback, you have a little bit more to consider if you think he can still start. But even if he is healthy, is Anthony there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, Anthony shows up. It's late, 13 minutes late, but he's like my wife when I first met her. We'd go on a date. She was usually 15 minutes late. But
anyway,
go ahead.
I was gonna say about on Cam Newton. Even if Cam Newton is healthy in your Carolina, I don't think you hold I think you either try to move him this offseason, and if you can't move him for something you consider respectable, you hold him for one more year, and then you got to move on from him because at this point, you cut ties with Greg Olsen, Luke Kuechly retires, change the head coach, give the new head coach a long-term contract. This all points to a total rebuild in Carolina, so I have to assume that no matter what his health is, the Panthers are looking to move on from Newton either this year or next year.
All right. Any thoughts, Anthony?
Well, Cam is under contract for one more season. I think they'll try to shop him. With the way David Tepper, the team owner, is talking, that they're only really going to entertain retaining Cam Newton if he's healthy. I think they're going to blow up this team. I think there's a very good chance Cam Newton has played his final down with the Carolina Panthers. Kuechly's gone. Olsen's gone. They're moving off of their longtime Rivera guys, and I think Cam's next. Why retain Cam when he's probably not going to be the future of your team?
Well, no, and this team is not going to be a playoff team next year no matter who plays quarterback. They're just not. I mean, there's too many holes here. Real quick, we'll backtrack to our first topic, which was Myles Garrett. We'll get Anthony's feedback on it. Anthony, did the punishment fit the crime? Should he be allowed to play first game next season?
How many games did he ultimately miss?
6.
6 games. I would say no. I think that should be at least 8 games because of, that was dangerous. Using the weapon the way or the helmet as a weapon the way he did, that's dangerous. I would have given him at least 8. Yeah.
I think that he should be suspended for the first 4 to 6 games next year. You can't have things like this happen. All right. What else we got here? Taysom Hill wants to be a quarterback, Sam. What's your take on this? I mean, when's his contract up with the Saints?
He's a free agent this year, so he's got decisions on what he can do. But I'm looking at Taysom Hill, and I understand he has all his athletic ability and all this stuff. And he looks great, and people love him. But if you're looking at what he's done as a quarterback in the NFL, he's thrown 13 pass attempts in his career. For under 200 yards. He's not put on tape that shows that he's a quarterback. I mean, he's not even played the position really at the NFL level. That's why the Saints turned to Teddy Bridgewater and not Taysom Hill when Drew Brees got hurt. He has not played quarterback really since college. So I don't see him as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't believe any team should give him a contract to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I think if I'm Taysom Hill, probably the best spot for me is back with the Saints on maybe a short-term deal as a gadget player again, because I don't think he'll get the contract he's looking for.
All right, Anthony, what's your take?
You broke up there for a second. What were we on?
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. So Taysom Hill, he believes he can be a franchise quarterback, not just an NFL quarterback, but a franchise quarterback. He's been around for a while. He's more of that Swiss Army knife type of player with a coach that knows how to use him. 13 NFL pass attempts. I don't see it, and I know the Saints had said that they can see him being Brees' heir apparent. I don't buy into it. I don't believe it. I think Taysom Hill, it might be a little bit too late, right? If he hasn't done it yet and he's been in the league 4 or 5 years.
Well, he's only been in the league a couple of years, right? 3 years? Is this 3 or 4? It had to be 4, wouldn't it? 17, 18,
I feel like he's close to 30 years old.
Nah, he's been in the – he is because he spent extra time at BYU when he was in college. This is the thing that sticks out to me at BYU. When he was in college, he had 2 seasons where he started, 2013 and 2016. 14 and 15, he played, but he didn't play the majority of the games. He was a medical red shirt in 2015. 2016, his senior year, he was 222 for 372, 59.7% completion percentage, 2,300 yards. He threw 12 touchdown passes and 11 interceptions. I think this. I can see one place where this could possibly work. Carolina. Taysom Hill and Christian McCaffrey in the same backfield could be really dangerous.
Yeah, 'cause you got all that versatility back there, and with Taysom Hill, you don't know really who's going to run the ball, who's going to get the carry, who's going to do what, because you have so many options with those guys. But at the same point, when it comes to, if you get down late in the game and you need to make some plays towards the end, some big passes and stuff like that, I don't know if Taysom Hill can do that, really.
Yeah,
I don't know if he could.
Taysom Hill to me is Lamar Jackson, but he doesn't.
But I was just going to go there.
Yeah, and this is the thing. So far, no matter what anybody wants to say about Lamar Jackson, he's not a franchise quarterback. Franchise quarterbacks can win you Super Bowls. Lamar Jackson can't do that. Taysom Hill can't do that. And Lamar Jackson's got a better chance of being able to do that than Taysom Hill does. Taysom Hill, if you watch his film in college, it's similar to Lamar Jackson, only Lamar Jackson throws the ball a little bit better. And that's really saying that Taysom Hill doesn't throw the ball really well, Anthony.
Yeah, we really just don't know from an NFL point of view, because Teddy Bridgewater came in and the offense, it stalled for a couple of weeks, but eventually got going. But Michael Thomas was still getting close to double-digit targets a game and putting up his numbers. And that was from Teddy Bridgewater. We just have no idea about Taysom Hill and what he can do as a passer, and that's my biggest worry. Sure, you can run those gimmick gadget plays, and it would look really good with a guy like Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. But when it comes into those third and long situations, you need that first down. Is he going to be running for his life, or is he going to try to attempt to pass? Because Lamar Jackson at least can move the football with the exception of the postseason.
Which is the only thing that matters.
Well, he did move the football. He just couldn't score the football. But yeah, he accounted for 400 total yards.
Come on. It's all in the second half. How many yards did he have in the first half, Anthony?
Not many. And you're right, but you still have to be able to move the football to put up those yards, first or second half.
No, you don't, because it's all in the second half. It doesn't matter. That's like saying Aaron Rodgers played good in the NFC Championship game because he threw for 200 yards in the fourth quarter. It doesn't matter if you're down by 28 points, because I hate to tell you this, but when the Titans get up 2 or 3 touchdowns, they're just going to play quarters, and they're going to let him have all the short passes and let him run all the short runs he wants. But when it mattered, it didn't get done. And, I mean, it's Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, that's something that, I mean, I'm not convinced Teddy Bridgewater is a big-time starting quarterback. Or either one of you guys?
Absolutely not.
No, I'm not convinced.
I mean, he did complete almost 70% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But the one thing about him was he was sacked 12 times. I don't think he moves great in the pocket. I mean, he can run out of the pocket. And I think he's a tough guy, and I think he's probably better than half the guys in the NFL. But I'm betting that there's going to be a team that pays him way too much money. And we talk about the Chargers. Phillip Rivers is not coming back. Do you buy the rumblings inside the Chargers organization that they think Tyrod Taylor could be the guy, Anthony?
Maybe, because Tyrod has been a starter. He did take Buffalo to the postseason. I think Tyrod might have a spot like, can he be one of the top 32 starting quarterbacks? I think he'd be in the bottom of that list, but I think Tyrod can do it. Do I believe the Chargers believe that he's going to be their guy? Absolutely not. They have too much talent right now.
Okay, so
to where, Brady makes all the sense in the world to the Chargers for me. And I'll keep going there until it doesn't happen.
Well, it doesn't matter, because if it happens, he's going to get sacked so much, it's not going to matter. I just don't see how you could think a guy. I mean, Tyrod Taylor is an all right quarterback. But if you've got that much talent, Sam, you got to try to get something better in there.
But yeah, let me say this. If the Chargers really believed Tyrod Taylor was their guy, they would have played him at some point last year when Phillip Rivers was struggling. The fact that they didn't go to him makes me think that they really don't believe him. They really don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, I feel like if you just stick with Tyrod Taylor, you're basically throwing up the white flag for next season. So if you're the Chargers, what you need to do is focus on fixing that offensive line, and then find a quarterback, whether it turns out to be a rookie that you draft or it ends up being a free agent. You need to find that someone to fill that position too. I don't see Tyrod Taylor who hasn't started since 2017. I don't see him coming out and being the guy that gets you back to the playoffs.
But is Teddy Bridgewater better than Tyrod Taylor?
That's a question I'm not really sure. I can't honestly tell you whether or not he is. When Teddy Bridgewater last started full time, I think it was 2015. He played about 65% of his passes. He threw 14 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So he's not putting up great numbers. He looked better during a 5-game stretch last year, but it's just 5 games. You don't really know what that translates to over a full season. I also think him and Tyrod Taylor are probably, well, their style is a little bit different. It's more of like a lateral move at the quarterback position, honestly.
So, same question, Anthony. Who's better, Tyrod Taylor or Teddy Bridgewater?
I kind of agree with Sam here. I think it's a push. Little bit different skill set, but same player.
But see, I disagree. I think Tyrod Taylor is immeasurably better and has had a better career than Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think people realize that in Buffalo, where it's really hard to win, he had a winning record. And if you look at his seasons, 2015, I think he was like 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. 2016, he was 17-6. 2017, he was 14-4. That's pretty damn good numbers, especially with a team that wasn't that great.
Listen, I won't argue much there because if I'm going to edge somebody, I'm a Tyrod Taylor guy over a Teddy Bridgewater guy. To me, Teddy Bridgewater is a thing because he did suffer the unfortunate leg injury. It was gruesome, and he's a nice comeback story, and people like the whole Disney comeback story. Hence, why people think James Conner is more than what he is.
Yeah, because James Conner is not that good. He's just an average backup running back on a good team. Yeah, so when you look at it, you look at the free agent quarterbacks, I don't think it's that crazy to think the Chargers think that Tyrod Taylor may be their best option. I mean, Tyrod Taylor or Andy Dalton?
Are they fixing the line?
Well, I mean, probably not, because there's only 3 good offensive lines in the NFL anyway.
I mean, if they can fix the line and make that on the top half of the league, then Andy Dalton. If they're not going to fix the line, then Tyrod Taylor.
Okay, but who is the best free agent quarterback out there in your estimation, Sam?
I mean, that would be probably Dak Prescott, but he's not going to hit free agency. So if we're going past that, I really don't know. Because there's a bunch of guys who kind of group up there. Do you go for a veteran guy? If you go for a veteran guy like try to make a run for like a Drew Brees or Tom Brady, they're not going to work behind the offensive line. They're going to cost a lot more money. If you're trying to do this and save money that you can spend in other places, Tyrod Taylor is not on an expensive contract, and he has mobility, so that kind of negates some of the issues with the offensive line. You're not going to get Dak Prescott from Dallas, so maybe Tyrod Taylor is the way to go.
Well, I think this. I think Tyrod Taylor is a better signing than Brees or Brady. I think he gives you a better chance to win. Anthony?
I don't know if I can go that far.
So, from what we saw of Drew Brees this year, especially at the end of the season, behind that offensive line, because, see, this is the thing. Tyrod Taylor is the better choice because he doesn't cost as much money. So you could go out and fix the offensive line. You can't do that if you're paying Tom Brady. And I don't think Drew Brees is going back to L.A. to play for the Chargers. I think they've already tried that, and they got rid of him. Now, that would make a hell of a story, though.
That would be all we would hear about the entire season if that happened.
What about, I mean, you know, we talked about Cam before. Is the Chargers a spot for Cam? Maybe they make a move there. I mean, probably the logical thing for the Chargers to do, and this is why I think the whole Brady narrative works, is because they don't have that veteran quarterback they're moving off of. Rivers is gone. They're in a position to draft a quarterback, so maybe you bring in Brady for 2 years and let him sit and let the rookie sit.
So you're going to bring in a quarterback at the number 6 pick in the first round of the draft and let him sit for 2 years. It doesn't work that way.
That's not abnormal.
It is abnormal. Give me the last quarterback picked in the top 10 of the draft that was forced to sit for 2 years behind an old, aging quarterback.
Must have been Philip Rivers in 2004 because he was behind Breeze for 2 years.
Yeah, but were there any situations to where possibly there was a starter in place and they got hurt and they were forced to go with the rookie?
Well,
I feel like there has to be more than Rivers.
Well, there is Eli Manning taking over for Kurt Warner.
Rivers.
But that wasn't sitting for 2 years. That was sitting for 5 games. And see, my point is this. Nobody is going to pay that much money for the 6th pick in the draft at quarterback and sitting for 2 years. You know, people will bring up Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers was picked in the 20s. There's a lot of people that didn't think he was that good. So, I mean, I don't see the Chargers, you know, signing Brady and then drafting a quarterback. I mean, there's no money left then. Because I know it's scaled with the NFL, but a first-round quarterback is going to make a good amount of money, especially with the 6th pick of the draft. So if you sign Brady, you almost have to take an offensive lineman with that 6th pick of the draft. Then the problem is, if you don't win a Super Bowl, you probably just cost yourself 5 years and possibly your future franchise quarterback.
Well, here's another thing. We've talked about quarterbacks before, but the head coach, like his job, like their jobs are on the line in Los Angeles potentially if they don't start winning here in the next season or two. You might start hearing about, well, what if they move on from Anthony Lynn and his staff? So if you're them, you're looking for the guy you can pick now and play this season and then continue building with in the future. You want to have that guy you can move forward with. That way you buy yourself a little more time here. Because if you take a veteran quarterback and you don't get that young player, then you run out of hope for the future. You don't have that hope for the future anymore. Then it's easier just to dump your staff and move on and try a new coaching staff.
Yeah, and if Tua drops to the 6th pick, then you're justified to take Taylor, let Tua rehab more for a year, and then start him next year. Of course, then Taylor could blow things up, but then you can trade one of them. But, I mean, to me, I think taking Tom Brady for any team is a death knell. I just don't see him winning anywhere else.
But what if they did do what you said and you go draft that offensive lineman, that top-end offensive lineman, you bring in Brady who believes he can play until he's 45, and they do have pieces. They do have a really good defense that needs to stay healthy. But when you're talking about Derwin James and Bosa alone, they're two of the best at their positions, never mind Melvin Ingram and Adrian Phillips.
Yeah, but we say this every year about them, and they come up short.
Well, that's because they're always hurt.
Exactly. So
they're not coming up short because of lack of talent.
Yeah, but I also think this. I think that if you remove Tom Brady from New England, history has shown us that this never works with an old veteran quarterback. Whether it's, you know, Joe Namath going to the Rams or Johnny Unitas going to San Diego. Heck, for that matter, Joe Montana went to Kansas City. They won some playoff games, but they never went to the Super Bowl. And I just don't think that I put it like this. If he's 5 years younger, yeah, you could plug him in and win a Super Bowl. But right here, you have to plug him in with the best team to be able to win the Super Bowl. The only way you could take Tom Brady and plug him in and win a Super Bowl right now is if you put him in San Francisco.
If you got that defense set up in San Francisco already, so you don't need Tom Brady to go out necessarily win you games that scenario.
And you got an offensive line that's really good there too.
Yeah.
But you got Jimmy Garoppolo, so that ain't going to happen.
I was going to say, even in New England right now, I don't know if I can see Tom Brady or winning in our Super Bowl with this current era.
Well, no, because once they pay him what he's going to want, they're not going to be able to afford to get anything else, or not enough of everything else.
Well, they have so many free agents, aging players as it is. I think they've missed their their window with this current squad, and they missed their window to kind of move on to some of these guys and bring in new talent. I don't think they've done that this time around.
Well, I don't think we can ever say that they missed their window for winning championships.
Oh, yeah.
Because their window was like 2 decades. And they won like 6 of them, so they may have missed their latest window, but I just don't think. And we talked about the 49ers a little bit. The 49ers. Anthony, what do you think they would have to do to get back to the Super Bowl next year, or to win the Super Bowl next year? Do you think this is a team that's kind of set up so they're just going to be a contender for the next few years and see where it goes, or is there something else they need to do?
I'm one who believes that if the 49ers won the Super Bowl, we would be talking about dynasty with the way that team is set up. They have some of their best players on rookie deals. Their best running back or their highest paid running back has never played a snap in the regular season, which is Jerick McKinnon. They have a running back by committee, so they're not dependent on a bell cow back like the Rams were with Todd Gurley. You talk about Kittle, Bosa, a lot of these guys. I mean, the beat writer Matt Barrow is already talking about Quan Alexander as a potential 2021 cap casualty. They have depth everywhere. So, yeah, I think the 49ers are set up to make another run. And I think what they really need is maturity at the wide receiver position, because that's what really failed them.
All right, Sam?
Yeah, if you're the 49ers, you've got 4 starters who are hitting free agency this offseason. It's Emmanuel Sanders at wide receiver, 2 defensive linemen, including Eric Armstead and Jimmy Ward, the free safety. If you're San Francisco, I think you need to work on getting another defensive end in there to fill for Eric Armstead, because you want to keep that pass rush consistent, and you want it to be what it was this past year. You want that again next year. And the other position is wide receiver. You do need to add something there, because Emmanuel Sanders is a very good veteran presence to have, but he's no longer that kind of 1,000-yard receiver he was in the past. I do like Deebo Samuel. I like him a lot, but you need a little bit more there, I feel like. You need another player who's competing at like that 1,000-yard level, someone who can give you 7 to 10 touchdowns a year. I think you need one more weapon there to go alongside Deebo Samuel and George Kittle.
All right. I think that this depends more on the opponents, because I think what we saw was a wide gulf between San Francisco and everybody else. So I think that if they sit pat, they're fine. They've got a better than 50-50 chance of going back to the Super Bowl. I think the question here is, what do teams like Green Bay, Minnesota, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Seattle, they all had flaws. And the teams that just missed the playoffs, Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, L.A., they have flaws and they're vulnerable. I mean, so I think the big question here is, when we talk about the 49ers going back to the Super Bowl, is who could stop them in the NFC, Anthony?
I think the NFC is pretty loaded in terms of contenders. There was a lot of winning teams. Look at Philly, what they were able to do, and they were the most beat-up team in the NFL. So let's focus on Philly for a second. If this is going to be the Carson Wentz we're going to get, to where he's going to stay healthy for 16 games, I think their number one offseason need is at the wide receiver position.
Well, I think it's at wide receiver and DB both.
Yeah, of course, defensive back, but they had a lot of defensive back injuries. At wide receiver, sure, you had a couple injuries there, but look at the players. Nobody in the world believed Alshon Jeffrey was a true number 1 wide receiver. Otherwise, Chicago would have kept him and paid him money. Deshaun Jackson's at the back end of his career. Nelson Aguilar will not be back next year, and I don't see them going into 2020 with Greg Ward as a starter.
Well, see, I don't think the NFC is that good. I mean, I think what we saw in the playoffs is how overrated it was. Green Bay, I don't think is very good. Minnesota has major flaws. New Orleans has a old quarterback. Philadelphia and Seattle, to me, are maybe the 2 biggest threats, at least out of teams that made the playoffs, because you got Russell Wilson in Seattle, but they still have to put more around him. Philadelphia, I think, is the one team that, when healthy, can match up with San Francisco. I think when you look at the teams that barely missed the playoffs, I mean, the Cowboys are an absolute they're a joke. They lost to the Jets. I think the Rams are a team that are in deep doo-doo. I think the Bears have Mitch Trubisky, so they're done. I would say teams that didn't make the playoffs that I would look at. I think Atlanta's interesting, Sam. Am I crazy here?
No, because Atlanta has the offense, and they've got some pieces that they can build around. They've been underachieving since they lost in the Super Bowl. For them, their big deal is the defense right now. If they can get their defensive guys healthy and add some pass rushers, I think the Falcons are a very good team, especially with the Saints going through some quarterback changes, and also Tampa Bay has Jameis Winston who's a free agent, and the Panthers are probably rebuilding. I feel like the Falcons are probably the front runners to win the NFC South next year if they make smart decisions this offseason. And I do think they can match up against the 49ers. I just don't think I trust Atlanta to actually win that game because it's the Falcons, and they just haven't shown anything to me since the Super Bowl loss to show that they're a consistent team.
Well, remember this, though. The two coaches there both had something to do with it. That makes it more interesting also if they play each other in a big game. Anthony, don't kill me for this, but the outlier here to me, if they do things right, could be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You know what? I was just going to say that. I love Tampa Bay. Now, they need to figure out the quarterback position. Are they going to retain Jameis? Are they going to bring somebody else in? They need to address the offensive line a little bit. But this defense, everybody is talking about the 49ers defense. This Tampa Bay front seven took a monster step forward this year. They have a ton of cap room. I think they're going to go and bring in a couple of D-backs. All of a sudden, this Tampa Bay defense, I've said it during the regular season, I think if they do the right things on the back end, they'll be a top 10 unit this year, and that's going to make all the difference in the world.
Sam, any comments on the Buccaneers?
Yeah, the Buccaneers are an interesting team because they're strong and they're ridiculously strong. Like their pass rush and their defensive front this past year was great. I think Devin White and Levante David are incredible for linebackers for them. Their wide receivers with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, that's phenomenal. But they have questions at quarterback. Their running backs are inconsistent. Their offensive line needs a little bit of work. The tight end, I think O.J. Howard could play in the NFL, but he's not succeeded in Tampa Bay's system right now. And on the defensive side of the ball, they still have questions in the secondary. So for me, they have some very strong pieces, but I don't see it coming together because I feel like there's too many needs for them to fix in one offseason.
All right, how about this? Would it be crazy, either one of you can answer this, but would it be crazy if, I don't know, do they draft a quarterback?
Did they finish borderline 500 or at 500?
But they would have to trade up, or you take a shot on maybe Justin Herbert if he falls. I don't know. What do you think, Sam?
I'm looking at 14 in the draft, so they could conceivably get Justin Herbert if he falls. Like, that's not out of the question. I didn't think about that. That's an interesting one. They could do that. I could honestly see Tampa Bay being the team to do that. And also, that saves you money, too, because then you don't have to pay Jameis Winston or anything like that. You open up a lot of – and I know you still have to pay a pretty good amount for a rookie quarterback, but you actually open up money by doing that to spend elsewhere. That's an interesting one. But I don't think – even if you bring in a rookie quarterback, I think that's probably an improvement over Jameis Winston, honestly, but I don't know if that solves every problem for you.
Well, it's an improvement half the time. Because half the time, Jameis is a stud. I would look for them to go into draft, Sam, something like Becton from Louisville, if he slips that far, or maybe Tristan Wirfs from Iowa.
Yeah, that's what I think. I just finished the mock draft.
And that will be out tomorrow morning on the gruelingtruth.com. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had them taking Wirfs at right tackle. So their current right tackle is going to be a free agent. So I feel like they can start rebuilding there. But this draft class is filled with maybe 4 or 5 really good offensive tackles. So if they're going to fix the offensive line, I think they can really do it this year because there's going to be a guy available for them at 14. They're going to be able to get one of these guys if they really want them. So I think they could definitely go offensive line here.
All right, Anthony, what do you think to do in the draft? Anthony?
We're talking Tampa here?
Yeah.
Where they're picking, they might have a shot to get one of the top corners or safeties.
Well, they would, but what is more important, a top tackle or a top corner or safety for this team?
I would say a corner with how badly that secondary is played. Because we've seen teams win with a really good defense.
Yeah, but
and they can move the ball enough on offense, depending who's the quarterback. With those weapons, they can compensate for the bad line if you get somebody with a little bit more mobility than Jameis in there. Or if not more mobility, better decision-making.
But remember this. You can also compensate for a bad secondary with a great front seven.
Well, they had the great front seven, and the secondary was garbage.
Yeah. But you also got to have – this is the thing, though. I would bet if we looked at stats for them, a lot of the defensive issues giving up points were Jameis Winston giving teams short fields.
I like that take.
I mean, that's – to me, when you turn the ball over that much, you're going to give up points.
I have one for you. No, go on.
I was going to say, wasn't it the final week of the season, like against the Texans, where basically he gave them the ball inside the 30 like 2 or 3 times?
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember, he threw like 5 picks that game. I feel like you're totally on with that because he basically gave Houston like a possibility of scoring 28 points that game. Now, Houston didn't do that job. They let Tampa Bay stick around, but really, Jameis Winston lost them that game. And I think he's done that a couple times in the past few years.
Yeah, so I think the thing I take away from it is this. We don't know if the secondary is that bad or if everything else around it is so bad that it puts so much pressure on them. I mean, when you're giving the ball up and it's 1st and 10 on the 25 going in right away, and you were just on the field 3 plays before that, it doesn't make things easier, put it like that. But I think with as good as the front seven is, I will still go back to this. If the offensive line gets fixed with a great front seven, I think they need a running back too, don't they, Anthony?
Yeah, I believe Peyton Barber's a free agent, and Ronald Jones, he's nice, but
they need a running back even if those guys aren't free agents.
Right. Well, with the way I was going to say with Ronald Jones, he struggles so much in pass protection that he gets benched a lot by Bruce Arians. I've heard now they have the cap room to do it, and it's up to Arizona to have to eat some of David Johnson's contract. But I heard or saw an interview with Carson Palmer saying that David Johnson, might not be working in Kingsbury's system. Maybe you reunite him with Bruce Arians. But a lot of pieces have to fall. A lot of dominoes have to fall with that contract. But here's where I was going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Moving off of Jameis, who's going to probably want a decent amount of money. And what about Marcus Mariota? You might be able to get him cheap, and maybe Mariota struggled because of the system he was in.
I don't think so.
They tried making Mariota almost like a pocket passer. They didn't really play to his strengths.
I think they attempted to at times. I don't think Marcus Mariota is the way to go. What I would do if I was Tampa Bay, and this may sound crazy, but I would go after Derrick Henry because they've got enough cap space that they can absorb that. Draft and tackle with the first pick, have a strong front line, have a strong running game, and then you could even keep Jameis Winston because then all of a sudden Jameis Winston doesn't have to throw the ball 55 times for you.
I don't hate it.
The one concern, I think they should do that, but the only concern would be with how much money you give Derrick Henry, how long you do that, because we've talked about this with durability with running backs like Derrick Henry, who loves the contact, who loves to run between the tackles. How long would that contract be, and how much money would you pay to him because you don't want to get locked into a Todd Gurley type situation?
Well, see, I would start it with this way. I'm not actually the GM that would get fired in that situation, so I don't care. I'm just looking at this next year. But, I mean, if you could get him for 3 years, I would do 3 years. I think it's when he gets to the 4 and 5 years that it would scare me away.
I would do it 3 years. 3 years is reasonable.
Yeah, you get that for 3 years, and then maybe, I don't know.
I don't think he's signed for 3 years. I think he's going to be looking 4 or 5, like Zeke.
Yeah. Well, how about this? You know who I think would be an interesting fit in Tampa Bay running back-wise, Sam, would be J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, you think J.K. Dobbins would do good in there? I'd be actually like that'd be a good pick. I don't know if you would want to take them, though, where they are in the draft. They might trade back for that.
I don't mean
Or they
taking
might
him in
try
the
to get
first
early
round
second
because
round.
I think Dobbins will go
Yeah.
probably mid-second round. So you might even be able to package your second. I mean, if he goes mid-second round, you don't even have to trade up. But you could even get to the point where you could trade your second and your third for somebody who's maybe picking second or third in the second round to try to move up to make sure you get him. But I think Dobbins is going to be there when they draft in the second round, and I think Dobbins could be a stud.
Yeah, I like Dobbins. I think he's a guy who maybe the second best running back in the draft behind the kid from Georgia. Was it DeAndre Swift? I think was the other one from Georgia.
Yeah.
But Dobbins is the guy who I really like, and I think could be a starter in the NFL. I just don't know where he'll go in the draft. Because right now, I think he could go anywhere between the low first round to like the late second round, in my opinion. So anywhere in that frame, I think he could go.
Well, I mean, Swift could go in the second round. From the mocks I've seen, a lot of places don't have Swift going until pick 29 or later.
It's very hard to determine what the running backs are going to end up doing this year because there have been so many good running backs in the past drafts. Teams might just put the running back position off until the second or third round, really.
Yeah, because you don't have to pick it until the second or third round. There's not many first-round running backs anymore, and when they are picked, they're usually in the 20s or later. And you also, at some point in this draft, you're going to get a huge run on wide receivers, which is going to make some people drop that shouldn't. So I think that, we talked about Tennessee. What if they lose Derrick Henry? I think there's a chance if they lose Derrick Henry, they could just draft DeAndre Swift. And I will make this comment. I think J.K. Dobbins is better than DeAndre Swift.
I could see that. I'm having trouble placing the running backs in clear order this year a little bit because this is a little bit of a different running back class than what I've seen in the past. So I could see the whole running back hierarchy going into this thing entirely shift before we actually get to the draft.
Yeah, and I could see no running backs going in the first round. But I think somebody's going to jump on Swift. I think Dobbins goes in the first half of the second round, which I think would give Tampa Bay a chance to get him. And I think if you could get Dobbins and in the first round get a tackle, I mean, I think you're good to go. And I'm telling you this, with all the free agents out there, Anthony, quarterback-wise, how many of them do you think are really better or have more upside than Jameis?
Of the free agent NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to get Breeze. You're not going to get, I don't think you're going to get Brady in Tampa. I think
they could get Brady in Tampa.
I think if they're going to go after a veteran, I mean, I'm going to go with the story, which is Phillip Rivers. And I think that might be a little bit of a disaster. I know people are going to bring up the Carson Palmer effect, but I think Carson had a lot more in the tank when he got to Arians than Phillip Rivers will.
Yeah, I would rather have Jameis Winston than Phillip Rivers right now.
I agree.
And I don't know that there's any, and there's some good free agent quarterbacks, but I'd rather have Jameis Winston than Cam Newton. I mean, Cam Newton's got so many injury concerns. It's not just about playing football right now with him. It's about if he can play football right now. Teddy Bridgewater, I mean, to me, if Jameis Winston cuts down on the interceptions just a little bit, I mean, you put him on a team with a really good defense and a really good running game. He doesn't have to throw the ball as much. I think Jameis Winston's the kind of guy. He has, put it like this, we have not seen it yet, but we've seen glimpses of it. He does have the ability to go off, put a team on his back, and just go score 50 points with his arm and win the game, Sam.
Yeah, as we were doing the quarterback ranks, we saw that a couple times where he would go out, throw over 500 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns in the game, and the Buccaneers would put up 46 to 56 points. So he can do that at times. The issue is finding that consistency. And you mentioned even as he is now with the interceptions and stuff, he still might have a higher ceiling than someone like Teddy Bridgewater, who's only started 5 games in the last 3 years. And they were with a team with a really good offensive line and a lot of weapons. So I think sticking with Jameis is not the most ridiculous idea, but it comes down to how much he wants to get paid. Because I think he was floating out. He wanted something in the range of like $30 million per year earlier this offseason. That's the idea. He was floating around. And I don't know if I'm willing to pay Jameis Winston $30 million a year.
Well, that's what they're going to pay Dak, right?
It's probably what they're going to pay a lot of these quarterbacks.
I know, and it's still stupid to pay either one of them that. But
this is my issue when we talked about Dak. And this is why I said what I said. Like, that's where we're heading, where any quarterback, if you're halfway competent, you're going to get top 5 money when it's your turn to get paid, whether you deserve it or not. If Jameis Winston's asking for 30, Dak should ask for 40.
Why's that? Because Jameis is better and Dak just wants more money?
Dak has won games. Dak's winning. Dak at least wins games once in a while.
What did Dak win?
Dak doesn't throw a lot of – he's winning more than Jameis, and he's a 4th-round pick.
Let's see. He's winning more than Jameis, and he's a 4th.
He hasn't?
Where did the Cowboys pick in the draft? Oh, they pick at 17.
So those 2 division titles
Tampa
don't
picks
count?
at 14. No, I could give less than 2 craps about a division title. Especially when you win a division title and you really only won. Did you win? You won 1 division title.
2.
No,
His
you won
rookie
1.
year.
Because the problem with it is this. Oh, yeah, they got a bye that year. Yeah, he lost in the first round of the playoffs that year. He is 1-2 in the playoffs. Jameis Winston's 0-0. I don't think there's a big difference between the 2 of them. I don't think that, to me,
resume-wise, if Jameis is asking for 30, I'm asking for 40 if I'm Dak.
Well, that's fine. But Dak needs to go maybe play in the XFL or something because they could use guys that aren't quite that good.
You're the one who wrote that Dak was the best quarterback coming out of that class, and now you want to bury him because I'm here.
No. Now I'm burying him. Well, because you're here. But I like Dak, but I was wrong. Carson Wentz is the better of the 2. But I was right about Jared Goff. And I will say this. If I have to pick a Super Bowl winner right now, or a Super Bowl team out of the NFC right now, I would go with the Philadelphia Eagles, not the Dallas Cowboys.
Out of the NFC East or the NFC?
Out of the NFC, I would take the Eagles. Because the Eagles have one thing nobody else has in the NFC.
Oh, here we go.
They've got the best coach in the NFC.
Coaching?
Yes. I mean, let's face it, the Cowboys were pretty healthy all year compared to the Eagles, right? And the Eagles won
But
the
the Cowboys don't have their coach. They don't have that coach anymore.
Yeah, I know. Now they got Mike McCarthy, that big fat doughboy who can't get out of his own way usually.
God.
What? I guarantee you, Mike McCarthy's a sissy. What do you think, Sam? Mike McCarthy gets Doug Peterson.
I think we're going off the rails here.
Why? I don't like Mike McCarthy. I think he's soft. I think he's weak, and I think he will fail immeasurably in Dallas. You're going to wish Jason Garrett was back 2 years from now. You're going to miss the days of 8-8.
I miss Wade Phillips. I missed that 2007 season.
Oh, what happened there in the playoffs? Oh, you got beat by the wild card Giants, didn't you?
We did.
Okay. I just figured I'd bring that up. You know the Jets beat you guys last year.
They did. Actually, the Jets own the Cowboys almost every time they play each other in the past, 15 years.
That says a lot about an organization when they're getting owned by the New York Football Jets, too.
Okay. What does it say about the Patriots when they lose to the Dolphins almost every year, at least once?
Almost every year, huh? Hold on. Let's take a look at this. Patriots versus Dolphins. Let's check out the history.
Okay, at least in the past 5 years.
Oh, now it's the past 5. Why does this keep getting shorter? You said that, they had a history of losing to the Dolphins.
A recent history, yes.
Well, recent history is 20 years from me. Yeah, let's see. The Patriots beat the Dolphins 43-0 last year, and then they lost 27-24. So recently in history, they split. Here we go. Dolphins-Patriots rivalry. I didn't know they had a rivalry. Hey, the Dolphins lead the all-time series 56-53. Did you know that, Anthony?
No, I didn't. Probably has a lot to do with Don Shula, your guy.
No, it has a lot to do with New England Patriots were absolutely pathetic until the mid-'80s. Because I think there was a time where it took, I think the first time that New England won a game at Miami was 1985 in that AFC Championship game. They'd lost 20 straight times to Miami in Miami until the AFC Championship game of 1985. All right. So, in the 2010s, you're right. The Dolphins have owned the Patriots. The Patriots have won 14 out of 20 games is all.
Okay. That's probably better than the other AFC East teams. The Jets had a little bit of a run with Rex Ryan. That was a pseudo rivalry, kiss the ring and everything.
Yeah. Let's see. They swept them in 2010, 11, and 12. They split 13, 14, 15. Patriots swept them. Split 17, 18, 19. So they've done all right against them. They've been 3-5 against the Patriots over the last 4 years.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think they've had that much trouble with them. When's the last time the Cowboys beat the Jets?
I don't know. But in my memory, they've at least lost the last 3.
Have you ever seen your team beat the Jets?
Not in my adult years.
Really? You know, my team beat the Jets last year. Blew them out.
That's good.
Sam, how'd the Steelers do last time they played the Cowboys? Oh, that was this year,
I don't
too.
want to hear about it.
Okay.
Enjoy Joe Burrow, Mike.
Well, he's probably not going to be here, but I don't think he will. The last time the Jets beat the Cowboys was in 2000, or the Cowboys beat the Jets was in 2007. Anthony, your 2007 year.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
I'm not saying, yeah.
The Cowboys lead the all-time series 7-5. I would have thought it would have been more in the Cowboys' favor. But y'all only play like once every 4 years. All right, anything we're missing here, Sam?
I think we got everything we wanted to talk about.
All right. Anthony?
No, same here.
It's just a 30-minute show for Anthony. You're not getting paid to full scale now for being on the shows either today. I hope you know that, Anthony.
Bummer.
You're not making as much as you made last show. You're going to make half of that. Sam, we'll give you his other half. How about that?
Hey, Alman, did he make any money last show?
Sure, we all did. We just didn't realize it. All right.
Way to raise the morale.
Anthony, tell everybody where they can find the FF Face-Off.
You can follow me on Twitter at The Real NFL Guru, and you can follow my show at the FF Face-Off, and we can be found at all the top social media and podcast platforms.
Yep, and you can go to grulingtruth.com and find our latest show this morning, it was this morning that we put it up. Sam, tell everybody where we can find you, and we will have Sam Teets' NFL mock draft in the morning.
Yeah, so you can follow me at Sam_Teets33 on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, so feel free to go check out some of my articles and some of the stuff I've been posting there.
All right, guys, we will be back at 1 o'clock tomorrow where we'll talk about something that's got to do with the NFL. Make sure you come back and check us out. You can follow me at Grueling Truth. You can hear all of our shows wherever you find sports podcasts. But for now, for Sam Teets, Anthony Cervino, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.